Hey, welcome back to another edition of Printing's Alive, the podcast with me, your host, Warren Werbitt, where everything and anything print goes. Say what you want, do what you want. We're just happy to have you. Today, I'm going to read what I have coming because it's easier and a little tired today, if I could be honest with you. But all right, here we go. Today, we're talking about something a lot of printers think about, but few actually do anything about. Actually, printers don't do a lot of things that they talk about, but we'll just deal with one today. Growth beyond your current market. I'm going to stall while you think about that because I know you really want to listen and I want you to stay on a little longer. But I got a great guest today, as all my guests are great, but you know that. I have David Solomon, the founder of SER Growth. Welcome, David.
Hey, Warren, thanks for having me.
Pleasure. David spent 35 years helping manufacturers, business owners expand into international markets, strategically, sustainability-wise, without blowing things up internally. And here's why I wanted him on Printing's Alive. A lot of printer companies, a lot of good printing companies are doing really good business, messing it up with all the goods, but they've hit a ceiling. They're not losing money. They're making money. They've got salespeople, not looking for salespeople, and they're busy. And they have a little bit of capacity left over. But busy doesn't always mean growing. Today we're going to talk about why it's really important and what it takes to expand beyond your home market, why most companies don't do it, and how to know if international growth is actually right for you or a terrible idea. Really important no matter what you do today to find out if it's a good idea or a bad idea, because most people don't have money to waste. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Warren.
So tell us a little bit about you.
You kind of sort of nailed it in the introduction there, but
that's it. 35 years.
Look, I tell everybody like this: happily married for 32 years, have 3 adult children, one of which is married. I've been in sales my whole life. Not ashamed to say it. A lot of people say, "Oh, you're a salesman." No, I'm not. I'm happy to be in sales, and I think I will say that I've been very lucky in my life to network with people on a global scale, and just the world is a really, really cool place, and I just love what I do and love helping companies. So, life is good. And like fishing. I do like fishing with my buddy, and love sports and a good glass of scotch. If anybody's willing to share, I'm always good for that.
I'm coming. Just say what time to be there.
Got it.
Excellent. So, all right. Tell me a little bit about companies and why should they be thinking about going into a different market?
It's one of those crazy questions, Warren. When we think of growth, first of all, companies think that nobody wants what I have outside of where I am. So I don't care if you're in Montreal, Toronto, Washington, London, England. I don't give a flying fadoo. You think that what I got stays local, or stays in my state or province, or stays in my country. And then when you realize there's only so much you can grow in your market, and then when you want to go and look at that next market, whether it's another city, another province, another country, you talk yourself out of it. Too many printers, manufacturers, distributors, talk themselves out of it. And look, today, Warren, tremendous uncertainty, right? What happens in the White House?
What makes you say that?
What makes me say that? I don't know. Because all this news stuff, if you're a CNN, Fox, I don't really care what you watch or listen to. At the end of the day, you're being given an agenda just to mess you up. Why is it that exporting went up in 2025 when there's so much uncertainty in the world? Because the way to grow a business, the way to increase the value of a business, if you're the business owner and you're looking for financial freedom, real opportunity, staying in your local market has only so much to go. You have to go outside your borders to grow and to prosper. And that's what a lot of printers, manufacturers, whatever, they're missing
that. How difficult is it really to go do that? Like when I think about, so when we're in Canada, you happen to be in Canada too. So anybody who should hire him for some help gets a discount right away. Right? No, but so we're in Canada, and then let's take the US market, for instance. Big market, everybody loves it. I watch a lot of people that I know have ventured into it. I have a lot of people that I know who've done extremely well and become
Sure.
very wealthy, for lack of better wording, for the
Sure.
work that they do.
Mhm.
And then I know a bunch of other people that have ventured into the US market only to die, get killed, sink, and wish they never did it.
Right. There's a
So
big difference.
so what are the people that are successful doing, and what are the people that are not successful not doing?
Oh, what an outstanding question. And let me just tell everybody, if you're Canadian, you remember that company called Target that came to Canada?
I think it's Target for
Target,
me. It's a
excusez-moi,
little upscale.
Target, when they came to Canada, they screwed up mercilessly. Walmart also came to Canada, did really, really
Oh,
well.
I just wanted to interject for 1 second, and it has nothing to do with any of this, but I was never a big Walmart guy, just because around here. But when I was recently in the States and I went into Walmart, oh my God, it is
Yeah,
my favorite store now.
yeah,
Number one, huge selection of fishing stuff, right? And
absolutely. I
that's
was
a,
going to say
but
that.
but this is the part that blew me away. I bought Wagyu beef burgers there that happened to be the best burgers I ever had. I
So there's,
swear to God.
but this is where Walmart and Target missed the boat. Walmart got it, Target did not. Walmart understood the Canadian market. Target did not. Walmart came in with a clear-cut message of what they're offering. Target mixed the message up. Target had a great supply chain. Walmart had a great supply chain system put into place. I was part of it in the 90s, so I know what they were like. Target did not. The difference between success and failure isn't about the size of the company because they're both monoliths. They're both massive organizations. What the difference was planning, understanding the market, and right execution, and pivoting when the time is right. When Walmart first came to Canada in 1995, I was in the toy industry. They were my client, and we had incredible conversations, a lot about teach us about the Canadian market. They took the Woolco people, they got rid of a few people because they were, not
Old school.
Walmart people.
Right.
And they sat with us and they said, you guys, this is your real estate. What will you do to hit the numbers we expect? And we understood what Walmart wanted. Target walked in and did it differently. They said, we know what we're doing. We're going to do it our way without understanding the Canadian market. And so Tim Hortons tried to go to the US, by the way, flopped the first time because they didn't understand that Dunkin' Donuts was just a better, or Dunkin'. Like, you can see time and time again, it's not about your size, but it's about how you plan, how you strategize, and how you execute. And what are you offering? Warren, a lot of the people watching or listening to this are going to say, well, I sell on price. I have the cheapest printed package possible. And you're out, don't go anywhere. You're dead because India and China are going to kill you. All right? You're going to lose the game. If you can provide something unique, something that is really, it doesn't have to be monster. It has to be just enough to satisfy a pain point that your clients need, you're going to win. But if you're going to go in as a Me Too company and you're just going to compete on price, you will fail. And that is where a lot of Canadian businesses who try to go to the US fail. Now, there's another reason, and I'm sorry I'm taking so long. The US is massive, Warren.
Massive.
And to say, I'm going to America, you're not going through Ellis Island. You're going to the United States, which is 7 countries or 50 countries in one. I don't care how you want to divide the country. It's wrong for a lot of businesses. What I advise my clients is, are you sure your organization can handle the United States? Let me go back to Walmart. When I was in the toy business, there were 135 Walmart stores in Canada at the time. There were 2,200 in the United States. The supply is different. The mindset is different. The attitude is different. It could have bankrupted us if we didn't play the game right. And so what I tell people is, your first market of export, unless there has to be something magical, I wouldn't go to the United States. I would go to a smaller market, learn, have my organization adapt, figure it all out, make the small mistakes where possible. And then at a certain point, I'd go to America.
Listen, I don't think you get too many chances when you want to expand, and the cost of expanding. So
Oh,
if we talk about then going to another country, wherever it is. Let's touch on some of the costs and the hidden. I'm going to say hidden, but what I mean by hidden is the things that people that have never done it before don't know to expect in
Sure.
terms of costs. There's lawyers, accountants. There's, I don't know,
Well,
registration.
well, let's talk about depending on the industry. First and foremost, you got to make sure that you comply. Like if you're in the health food side, or you're in or pharmaceutical, or you know that they're illegal. You know, in Canada we have our drug administration. There's the FDA in the U.S. There's a European version. You got to know when you go to a new market, what are the laws. In Europe, there's a thing called GDPR, which is a privacy law, which if you don't understand it and you get caught, you can get nailed for a massive fine. And there, you don't. That's why I say start small. Go to a smaller market where the investment in a lawyer or maybe an accountant or a registration, a trademark, or whatever it is minimal. And then you will learn how that works. And maybe it'll help you in other markets as well. It's the cost is not the issue. It's when you research a market and you say, I want to go here. What do I need to do? And so every market's a little bit different. I'll tell you one example is we're helping an Indian company go to Ghana with their products. Now, if they were to come to the US or Canada, they would have needed all kinds of testing requirements and whatever. They did it in India. Ghana accepts it, whatever India does. And they're now saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in testing and licensing and requirements because they're going to this market to learn, to experience, to grow. And eventually, in about a year or two from now, then they'll go to those other bigger markets that make more sense. So to me, the first thing to do is get information. And by the way, that AI thing, tons of it is there. There's no excuse anymore. Oh, I want to go to said country. Punch it into AI and say, I want to go in. What do I need? And that whole list will come up there of how to protect yourself, what you should do. And you need a good lawyer to help you in those markets. I'm sorry, but you need.
I know.
You need it.
It's a necessary evil.
Yeah, look.
And by the way, they did it to themselves.
Oh, 100%.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just move on from that. But yeah,
one thing also is like when I go back to when I was in the toy industry, when we wanted to ship to the US and to the UK, on our packaging we had to make sure that the testing number and everything was there, right? There was also language on the packaging that we had to make sure that we complied with, and so on and so forth. So you just don't sell to another country eyes closed. There are a lot of local associations, there are a lot of local networking groups, who are going to help you to figure out what you got to do. 190 countries out there, everybody's a little bit different. When you pick the market, get local knowledge, and then you'll see it'll work out for you.
Top 3 mistakes that people make when they're going. First
mistake is the way we work in Canada or we work here is we work there. Not even close. Okay, this is sales. This is 101. This is not exporting. You know, I don't care. Even from Montreal to Toronto, it's different. So when you're selling in a new market, you got to understand the local culture. Number 2, I'm a hero at home. I'm a zero out there. My brand, my name may have zero connotation when I go to that market. So you're going to have to invest a little bit in branding, a little bit in marketing. You might need a local consultant. You might need something to help you to get to first base. The third thing is, I know this is a virtual world, but get on a plane and go visit your customers there. If you work with a distributor in that local market, I don't care. Don't leave them alone. You should get known in that market. You should feel like you're the local player, not some international newbie. And get to be known, network, create a partnership, partnerships for yourself. Don't leave it to your distributor to run that market entirely for you. Get involved.
Well, don't leave it to anyone else. I'm going to say to everybody, don't make that mistake because forget expanding to another country. Too many people in their businesses start to rely on people that they put too much in their hands and then lose sight of what they're doing in their own companies. So very important to always have your hand in. The other thing is, I just want to mention, you mentioned going there. I want to mention to everybody, not only going there, locally, get out of your office and go visit your customer. Everybody's so fucking accustomed to doing Zoom. No, but this is, when you're going to know you made a mistake and you didn't visit your customer, when your customer tells you they're going somewhere else.
Warren, one of my LinkedIn posts I put up a while back was, hey, if you're the business owner, please get off your ass, go visit your top 20 clients. And I got a lot of flack. What do you think I hired salespeople for? What do you think I have a sales manager for? I said, you know what? Take a page out of GE. Okay? I think it was Jeff Immelt. I think if I remember correctly is his name. He did that. After he took over as CEO, he went to go visit. He went to go visit the best customers to learn, to understand. And I'm thinking, why would the CEO of General Electric go out and visit his best customers? Because they're his best customers. Okay? And he wanted to learn and understand what would be changed, what would be needed, what would be different. I watched with my own eyes when I sat with the business owner and when the owner of my company sat with the business owner. That's a different relationship. And so if you're sitting at home or you're sitting in your ivory tower, I agree with you, Warren.
First of all, I always say owner to owner is a different kind of conversation.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
I used to tell my salespeople, make appointments with the customer, I want to go. Half of them would do it right away. The other half would stall, right? You know why they're stalling? Because they're not doing their job with the customer and they know it and they don't want you to know.
Well,
the ones that bring you are happy to bring you. They understand that there's a benefit. I could ask a customer if we're doing a certain business and why not, and could we have it, where the salesperson might not. But more importantly, the most important reason for going to see your customers with your salespeople is your salespeople will leave you one day. It's still your company and you want to keep the customer.
And and to your point, that's why I tell people when you're exporting, that distributor tomorrow retires, sells out, whatever. It's your stuff. It's your brand.
Right.
Do you want to control your brand or do you want to leave it to somebody else? It's your call.
Anybody who doesn't want to go anywhere to do something and wants to sit doesn't deserve to be successful.
There we go.
Right. So what are the top 3 things that you've seen that have just put people over the top when they have gone to do these projects?
What's interesting is when I talk to people and I say, my first conversation with them, Warren, and I'm going to answer your question. When I ask people, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Where do you want this business 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? That Jim Collins BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal. And I ask them for a reason. Because if your goal is financial freedom, then let's do it. And that's the success. One of the biggest things is if you're doing this right, the financial freedom that you can get for yourself is incredible. Think of the vacations you wanted to go to, the schools you want to send your kids to, the house you might want to own, or the car, or how many fishing trips or golf trips do you want to do in your life? I'm like, how are you going to pay for all that? Your local market? Yeah, maybe. But when you start expanding into those new markets, those things start to come in a lot faster and you get that opportunity. So number 1 is when you're doing it right, you personally benefit. Now, number 2, you benefit, but so does the company. And so tomorrow morning, let's say, Warren, you want to sell the company or you want to leave a legacy for your children. Let's take the first one. You want to sell the company. If you sell your current company today, you make so much. There's an X, 1, 2X, I don't know, depending on what you got there. You go international, guess what? You've added a few X's. And this is not me saying this. These are exit planners. These are M&A experts who will tell the business owner, raise the value of your business by exporting. It works. From your company's perspective, though, not only, listen, we're Canadians, right? We just said we're both Canadians, right? If Canada goes to the toilet tomorrow and I export, chances are that second market is going to offset the crap that I'm dealing with in Canada. Or better yet, This happened to me when I was in the toy business. 4 of my top 10 clients went bankrupt in when I was in the toy business. All right, which included names like Eaton's Consumers Distributing. You remember those guys? The Moyers.
Now you're dating yourself.
I'm dating myself. They went bankrupt in the same year. You know why the company didn't feel the pain? Is because we were in the U.S., in the U.K., in other markets, and it was offset by the pain from those customers. So when you're doing it right, not only will it offset, but you'll find better paying customers in other markets who are willing to pay you more for what you've got.
And appreciate you.
Exactly. And I'll tell you something. If you do this right, it's just the leaps and bounds you take in your company and you personally, off the charts. So that's why I tell people, I ask them, where do you want to go? Because I don't want to grow to a company to $100 million. Like if you're a $20 million business today and you want to go to 50, it's different than going to 100. But I got to tell you, if you want what I just listed, let's have a chat, because this is the way to get it done.
Yeah, I'm thinking how much profit. I'm always thinking bottom line profit, not top line revenue.
No, I'm always talking about profit, right? Because top line revenue, listen, at the end of the day, why I tell people is when you sell into another market, you could charge more. There's a reason I'm saying that, is because I want you to get more. At home, you've probably discounted to get that business. And now you've had to look how hard it is for you to get them back to par. Go to a new market. You may not have to discount it, and you could charge more and therefore make more. Not a hard thing.
Well, if you're going to discount, you may as well raise your price to discount, because anyone in business is not making their margins an idiot.
Well,
no, you have to make your money at the end of the day, or it doesn't pay to be in business.
Look, but there are people today who are working for a paycheck. And I'm sorry, you're not running a business.
That's okay if you're a worker, but if you own it and you're on the hook and you got directors issues,
Warren, but that's what I'm saying. I know business owners that are barely working for a paycheck.
Right.
I don't understand that. You're doing this for a reason. If you're doing this for a paycheck, go work for somebody else. But if you really want to prosper, and I don't mean to be, I'm not saying you're going to be filthy rich. I'm saying if you want a good lifestyle,
feel good about what you're doing and have some benefits.
There you go.
Yeah. Wow.
Have a company with benefits. Gotta love it.
Extra benefits.
Extra,
right?
There.
No, that's good. Are there countries that are better than others?
I'm asked that question a lot, and the answer is it depends. Like everything you make or you distribute or you print or whatever, every market's going to be a little different. What I will tell you is this. Once upon a time, when you and I started in our various careers, there were only so many countries to go to. Today, that number is like up to, and I said it earlier, about 190 countries around the world. And people don't talk about South America, Eastern Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia. It's like we're in North America. We're locked into our 10 countries that we love so much. But reality is, I spoke to somebody about Poland, and he looked at me and goes, but I don't speak the language. Who cares? They speak English. And they want to do business with you. They want Canadian goods. And I'll go back to what I said about LinkedIn. I did a post called, hey, the world doesn't just want maple syrup and hockey sticks from Canada.
What else do they want?
They want
poutine.
They want poutine, right. Listen, aluminum and steel, there's a demand out there. Finished goods, there's a demand out there. Technology is a demand out there. There is a demand out there for our goods. You got to find it. So there's no one country that I would say, yeah, you got to go there or else. But stop looking at the same 5-10 countries. That's my advice to everybody.
Well, I think people do that because they look for the quickest way, which isn't necessarily the best way.
Well, there's also the fact that our media talks to us about UK, France, Germany, and the same countries over and over again.
Right.
But have you ever, what about the rest of the world?
Well, that's why, and some people are not going to like what I'm going to say, but the truth is, I don't watch the news anymore. Right? It creates anxiety. I just watch porn. Porn's from all these different countries. I know names of countries you probably don't even know, and everyone seems really happy in those countries.
So apparently so.
Right?
To your point, the media is the problem because
it's bad for everything. It's not business. It's life.
No. But I'm saying if you go, when you travel around the world or anywhere, I was in Mexico a few months ago, and I turned on CNN, and there's CNN International. They're talking about South America and Latin America, and they're talking about Asia and Africa and Australia and all these other countries. And you come back to Canada, and you turn on CNN, and you see U.S., U.S., U.S.
Well,
No
that's
wonder
because
we don't
CNN
know.
doesn't have a Canadian office.
Well, but I'm saying we're
Right.
watching the news, even when we watch the godforsaken CBC and CTV.
Who
Do you
watches
ever
those? They're
do
awful.
you ever hear reports about what goes on? Venezuela now, yeah, sure. But did anybody talk about Venezuela beforehand, or Colombia, or Argentina, or Peru? No, of course not.
One good thing about Venezuela is I'll probably be able to get back to Las Rocas fishing.
There we go.
Because for the last 10 years, you couldn't go there fishing, and they have some of the best bone fishing in the world. But
Love it.
that's a whole other thing.
But here's the thing: is Argentina has been off of everybody's radar. It was a terrible market. Now it's become a really attractive market, and they are looking for investors, and they're looking for business partners, and the media doesn't cover it. It's just not
Well,
cool.
you can't go by media, first of all. And I think all countries, probably, depending on what your product or service is, there's always nuggets to be had if you want to lift those stones and look underneath.
Absolutely,
Right? I
absolutely,
mean, I
100%.
think as I think as there's more people in the world, more people doing things, more people trying things. Some people get discouraged easier than others,
Sure,
or worry. Listen, I just started the printwhisper.shop, sell really cool t-shirts and hoodies. There's a million people doing it, but it's a 45 or $50 billion industry and growing.
sure,
And I
yeah,
set it up so that I could be global. Actually, I have manufacturers in
good.
7 countries, so I could ship the easiest too. And it's great. It was just another. It actually wasn't that hard. It wasn't that easy though. As easy as Shopify says it is to set something up, not so. But if you want it, you make it happen.
But to your point, today, if you look in some of the most like I spoke to somebody in the Philippines, and he's like, why are we the forgotten one? I spoke to somebody in Finland. This was the best conversation. We both laughed about it. Said, when you think of Canada and Finland, we think of hockey. But Finland is a great great market, very, very, very high, cost of living, and they're used to paying more for things. Why do we never talk about Finland as a possible export market? And that's the problem, is we're just not when you do the homework, Warren, and I tell this to people, first step I do, I'm going to research the crap out of where there's a demand for your stuff. And don't be surprised if I come to you with some markets, you're going to go, I never thought of that. Yeah, because you're just too used to hearing the same names over and over again.
Well, the best surprises are the ones that you don't think about, right?
Absolutely.
When you do the same and you go the same and it's the same story.
But here's the thing: you're going to go into a market where how many other competitors are there? But if you go into a market where you don't have a lot of competition, what does that mean for you? Great opportunity.
Better, but even with competition, it comes down to storytelling and what it is that you're
There
offering.
you go.
I always prefer to think of the positive, that there's always a way to overcome whatever is in front of you,
Sure.
no matter what anyone says, because there's always successful people out there.
Always.
Right.
Always.
And if you get caught up if you let your brain get the worst of you, you're going to be stuck like a deer in the headlights and do nothing.
Absolutely.
You just have to go and try.
Absolutely.
How many people do you work with that actually succeed when they make the move or the attempt?
The majority of the people I talk to, when we follow the plan and we have a pivot, plan, because stuff happens. That thing called COVID threw a monkey wrench. Every year, by the way, if you look since 2008, every year there's a crisis. You got to have a pivot plan. So if you have that in place and you time it in such a way saying, okay, we're going to do this, and then if it doesn't work by here, we pivot, then there's success. But you got to plan it out right. And I say plan with a pencil, not a pen. I'm talking to a printer here, because it can't be etched in stone. It's got to be malleable just in case. There could be another opportunity. There could be a pivot. There could be a political change. There could be a technological. Something might have changed that'll cause that pivot. So if you have the plan and the pivot and you execute right, you execute smartly, man, oh man, majority of the people do really well.
Is there a certain type of mindset that people have that are successful, or is it potentially open to anybody?
You have to have a growth mindset. You have to have a little bit of intestinal fortitude too, especially if this is your first time. Okay? Because if it's your first time exporting, you don't know what you don't know. And that's why I tell people go to a smaller market, because you'll learn, the mistakes will be smaller and easier to learn from. And so if you have a growth mindset and your team has a growth mindset, so you need, Warren, you've been in business long enough to know if you have a bad team, you don't win. And I'll compare it to a football team. All right. There are 11 departments in a business. There are 11 players on a football team on one side of the football. And if everybody knows where they have to be, they win the game. That's the same thing in your business. If everybody is thinking growth, clarity, our vision is the same, our aspirations are the same, oh boy, your opportunities are great. But if one holds you back, that could be devastating. So you got to make sure that all of your chiefs, all your leaders, all your key players in your organization are aligned. I didn't say agree, because you could disagree about how to get there, but you're aligned on the vision and where you want to go and how you're going to get there, then you're going to be okay.
Yeah, first of all, you don't want them to agree, because when they disagree and then they sit down and discuss, better thoughts, ideas, and new plans come out, right?
Absolutely.
It's not,
that's why I said you don't have to agree, but you have to be aligned.
Oh, for sure. And you have to be rowing in the same direction.
If you're not, think of the best. If you've been to the Olympics and you see the rowers,
that's why
everybody's super strong and fast, but the ones that are the most aligned are the ones that win.
And it's by a hair.
That's right.
Generally, right?
There you go.
It's wow. So let me ask you another question. I don't know if there's an answer, but so like when somebody goes to venture into a new market, how long should they allow themselves to be there before they want to choke themselves because they're not feeling really good, because it's not moving at the pace they saw?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's very hard to say because every industry is just a little bit different. Food, for example, which is in high demand, has one growth rate, and let's say pharmaceutical has a different, and if you're selling airplanes, it's a different,
right.
different. I tell this to my students at McGill that I teach. It depends, and so you have to look at what a sales cycle is like in that country, and give or take, you want to fit inside that. That's why you got to do the homework, and why you got to talk to people. And if you're lucky enough to have customers in your current market who are also in that new market, and you ask them, what's it like? What are patterns like? Are they fast or slow or the same? Could they help you? This, that, and the next thing. Then you'll figure out the timeline. But there is no one number. But you also have to be realistic that, remember, you're going in from a market where you were a hero to a zero, and it could take a little bit longer to make it. And that's why you need to have alignment in cash flow, in planning, in HR, the right people, because then that'll get you there, should get you there faster. If you're not, you could spend a lot of money and blow your brains out. So, and that's why I talk about the pivot plan. If you sit with your CFO and you say, we're going to give this so many months, give or take, and you have a good sales team who are saying, yes, we can make it, no, we can't, then you'll know how long it takes you. But if you don't do that homework and you don't have the right team, you could be like Target.
Well, I'm going to say, if you don't do your homework and you don't have the right team, your chances of success are like low single digits.
At best.
Well, I don't want to say zero, but low
Close
single digits.
Close to it.
I mean, everything I'm hearing, it kind of sounds to me like you're really just a startup, a new startup in another place.
Yes and no. If you're good, like when I say you're a zero, I'm exaggerating a little bit, because if you're really good in your home market and you're marketing it smartly into that new market, you're not a zero. You're going to be better than that. But you got to be prepared to reinvest to get you back on track. So if you think like a startup and you act like a startup, you'll probably have a better chance of success. Unless and that's of course if you're going in through an organic or a distributor. Some people do a joint venture and some people will do an acquisition just to grab huge market share. It's not something I suggest on first pass, but if you've done a few exports, you might want to think about it.
Well, if you're doing that, I'm going to think that you're a little larger, you have a bigger team with a little bit more knowledge.
You could
right?
You could be, but
I wouldn't go in and buy into a company in a country I didn't know how the fundamentals of how the country operates.
You wouldn't do that. But for example, if I'm starting to sell with a distributor I'll take some arbitrary places like Spain and Portugal and Italy, and I'm going to go, you know what? We could really do much better if we set up shop in Germany and just go bazoom. Instead of finding a distributor, I might acquire somebody, and that will open even further the market. That's why I say acquisition or joint venture is not the first export market thing I would do. But eventually, as you're starting to gain momentum, that comes on the table and
if you have experience.
And experience, right. And again, it's back to cash flow and it's back to all these things. And I'm not saying you have to buy a $100 million company, but you might buy a smaller version of you. You might buy the third largest player in that market. I don't know.
Hey, listen, it's hard enough here when you run a business to know what to do all the time and do all the right things and employees and customers. And then I think when you venture into another country where, their traditions are different, the way they talk, the way they say things, it's almost scary. I would be, I'm going, whoa.
You touched on something really good, and that is culture. And it's something that I've told business owners, and you asked me about mistakes, and I probably should have brought that one up. The way we do business in Canada, the United States, is not the way the world does. And I remember one of the first times that I went to Mexico, somebody said to me, "How much do you like tequila?" I said, "I don't drink tequila." Why? He said, "Well, you better start drinking tequila. You're going to Mexico." And it was a little bit of a joke, but it wasn't. Because I got to tell you how much tequila I drank and how much Mexican food I got to. I really love Mexican food, but I didn't really know it back then. It's because before we did any business together, we ate and drank.
Right. Well, that's the way to really do it, right?
Well, we say that, but in North America, we've become cold. But if you go to Japan and Mexico and Italy and to other parts of South America and Asia, that's the way they do business. The Middle East, that's how they do business. You're not doing business by a cold call. You eat, you drink, you eat and drink again. You might get drunk. You might come to, like, I went to someone's home for lunch. I'm like, what the? Yeah, we went to their house. We had food. It was that you create a personal relationship, and that makes all the difference. And so, if you're not comfortable with adapting to different cultures, don't do this, because you're going to find it very, very hard to grow, because people like to do business with people who they like. And this is sales 101. But in other markets, you really have to be prepared to adapt to the culture. Another thing, time. In North America, you say there's a meeting at 9 o'clock, Warren. The meeting's going to be around 9 o'clock. If you go to Japan and you call a meeting for 9 o'clock and you show up at 9 o'clock, you're late. If you go to Colombia and you call a meeting for 9 o'clock, you might start at 10:30. You might start at 10:30. Right. No, forget about that part. You might start at 10:30.
No. And you got to know the cultures.
And when I was down in Colombia years ago, and my colleague lost his mind. And I said, dude, this is part of the game. We have to wait. That's why we only have 2 meetings a day. One in the morning, one in the afternoon, because you just don't know.
Europe, they go to sleep in the afternoon.
Yeah, 2 hours, right? Siesta, 1 hour.
And then you could drink and do business all night.
And then what about the 3 weeks of vacation in France that you closed down for? And what about the Chinese holidays? And what about, so Mardi Gras? You can't assume, and this goes back to what I said before, how we do business here in North America is not how the rest of the world works.
By the way, I close down for every holiday because I don't want to discriminate. And I want everyone to know that I support, all their cultural events that they do.
So what do you open 50 days a year?
Not even. Not even. You go from one New Year to another New Year to another, from Easter to Easter to Easter. You can't go wrong. It's, yeah. It's no, I love the idea of expanding. I love to travel, so going to other places and learning is great. I wish I had an idea or something to go to maybe try in another country and get with the local people and the tie-ups. And I mean, there's so many business groups out there that people could join if they want to learn
Oh, and there are a
more.
lot of international networking groups right now that are virtual that you can start to get to meet. And I'm not saying that you have to do everything in person, but this virtual world we're in
By the way,
right
sorry.
now
At
opens the
some
doors.
point, you know, you have to do most things in person. I don't like the fact that we've let it slide where the person to person thing has become less and less. The best relationships are face to face. Knowing
Sure.
if you're making a deal, you could tell by the way people are in front of you, good, bad. You got to change it up. Do you got to go? There's no phone. There's no putting someone on hold and blocking them.
Right.
I think we've just lost, and because of COVID, because that's where a lot of it stems. Uh, COVID has made a lot of people really lazy.
I'll tell you, I have networks in about 60 different countries. And some of it was in person over the years, and some of it was virtual. And a lot of these people said, "Hey, when we're ready to do business, you need to come here." And I'm like, "Wow, great, super." So, 2026, I have a whole bunch of different places to go to this year that I've never been to meet the people that have had those relationships over the since COVID. And and that's the way people want to do business today. Start off a little bit virtual, no problem, but you got to end it in person, and that's where the deals are done.
I can't agree more. I can't agree more. It's listen, as a salesperson, I take every call that comes my way.
Yeah.
Why? I'm a believer in karma. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
believer that you never know who could be on the other end of a phone call.
Yep.
And I'm picking up the phone. I'm in control of the phone. I could put it down anytime I want.
Sure.
Right. So there's no reason not to do that.
Right.
Right. It's So so again, just the idea of going to another country, uh, it feels a little scary, feels a little intimidating, right?
It can be, but when you have the right guidance, and this is why I do what I do, is I sit with the business owner and I said, let me do this with you slowly and smartly at your cadence. Because I could go fast. I'm notoriously fast at times. But what I tell them is, if you want to grow X% per year, I could do that. You want to go at 5X per year, we could try to do that. But it's really, what's your pace? And I have one client in particular who, when we started, he told me, I want to take my business from 5 to 10 million. And I said to him, oh, okay, so you want to manage double the staff and you want to manage double this and that. And he says, no, 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 no. I went, well, then you don't want that. Something's got to have to change. And if you're not ready, then we're not going for double yet. And that changed his mindset. So really, it's, what do you want? It's your business. I can help you to get there. And I'll work at the pace that you want. But it's got to be your pace, not mine.
Cool. In we mentioned the top three things that go wrong. What are just some of the things that people might not think about that other people in other countries might be thinking of doing or scamming? Or is there any scams that people should look out for, or some things that people get, I don't know, taken in any way? Because
Yeah,
I'm a trustworthy guy. I'm a
yeah,
trusting guy,
yeah.
right?
My favorite line recently has been, finding a distributor is not like you're on Tinder. You're not dating your distributor and let's go. No. What you're trying to do is don't start with the distributor. Start with the market. Where do you want to go? Because you can go to a trade show, and Warren, I'm sure you've been at these trade shows, and these people come up to you, go, Warren, I can bring you to the moon. I'm the greatest since sliced bread. I could solve all your export problems. And they're scammers. They're doing it to block you, to hurt you, to make sure that, their competitor, there's a reason. And I got burned from that. That was one of the mistakes I made very early on in my career, because I did treat it like Tinder. And I went, oh, sure, this guy's going to do so great for me in this market. And at the end of the day, he blocked us. He blocked us badly. And so it really is just don't fall in love.
Ever.
Don't treat it like Tinder.
Ever. Just your wife. Just your wife.
Just your partner. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, you know what? I think that's I'll tell you, I've been scammed too, because I get excited and I'm easily excitable.
Mhm.
And I wanted to believe that I could trust most people. Now, unfortunately, I've learned the hard way that I've got to be a little bit more weary and make it so that people earn the trust a little bit.
That's
Right?
it. That's the
When
game.
when you're excited, never mind internationally, even locally.
Absolutely. Anywhere you go that you need to have a relationship with someone. I'll tell you one crazy thing is, one of my clients decided, he started exporting, and I said, oh, can I see your distributor agreement? And he went, what agreement? I said, what did you do? He says, oh, we did it on a handshake. I said, the days of a handshake and a napkin are dead. Like, who's responsible for? And I listed 5 different things. And I don't want to get into it because I don't want him to know that. I don't want people to know who this is.
Yeah.
And he said to me, oh my God. And we spent 5 hours together building out an outline for an agreement that he took to his lawyer. And then now he's protected, but he wasn't protected before.
That is a huge point about protecting yourself. And I'm going to say to everybody, I don't care what country you're in, if you're local, if you're dealing with a friend even, and it's a business transaction, you need to put all the terms on paper to protect both parties. If you're dealing with a friend and something goes bad, you probably won't be friends anyways. But if you have everything in writing and everyone abides by it, it's just a lot better after, and there's no innuendos and usually the person who's going to lend you the money, because that's usually what you're borrowing or it's about, don't assume anything about their money other than that they want it back as per the agreement. Right. And you have to do that. And too many times, and I'll tell people, hey, we could do a handshake deal, but the paper's coming after.
There you go.
Right. So, yeah, you know what? We're going to end it on that one, because trust it's the most important thing.
Agreed.
And it's kind of like, I just had somebody online reach out to me to do some stuff, and everything was okay. And then they gave me one line where they said, and really, you shouldn't worry about anything. And right after that, I said to them, deal's done. We're not doing anything anymore. I don't ever want to hear from anyone. You don't have to worry, because we all have to worry about something at some point.
Absolutely.
Right? Wow. So cool. So I am not going to be expanding anywhere. I'm going to keep my business right in my room here for now.
Okay.
If anyone wants to do a podcast in another country, call me. I'm happy to come visit you and do something together.
Right.
But wow. Anyways, first of all, thank you for taking the time to come on.
Pleasure.
I think the topic is completely relevant. I think all business owners, not just in the world I live in, are always thinking of things to do, and a lot of people don't know how to go about doing it. So would it be safe to say that if anyone who's listening wants to reach out to you because they want to understand a little bit more about international growth?
Absolutely. Listen,
moving?
Look, guys, a conversation with me costs you nothing. So feel free, if you want to reach out to me, info@serogrowth.com, serogrowth.com. I'm on LinkedIn. It's David I. Solomon 13. I'm on LinkedIn. And serogrowth.com is my website. Reach out to me anytime. I'm on YouTube. I got LinkedIn stuff, whatever. Let's have a chat.
Cool. I will put your website in the description section when it gets posted. I can't think of all the words today, but I'll put it out there. And if anybody wants, before the podcast comes out, well, then I guess you won't be listening to this, so I won't say it. But at any time after you listen to the podcast, if you want to reach David, you could reach me directly, and I'll put you in touch if you're too lazy to do some research. Right? Well, sometimes locally you're allowed to take the shortcuts, but when you want to build business, you're not.
No problem.
You're not. But so thanks again. If anyone wants to know more about it, this was great. For those of you who are listening, I hope you enjoyed the topic. I'm going to be looking for more topics. If there's anything out there that you're thinking of that you haven't heard anyone talk about, please reach out to me. Let me know. It would be my pleasure to try and accommodate you and everyone else. All that to say, we're going to end it with, again, thank you, David. Thank you to everyone listening. I appreciate you all. And that's it for me. We'll see you soon. Cheers.